Welcome to another episode of The Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
I'm going to start.
Okay, then start.
Because I'll do it correctly.
Not again. It's just...
To take or not to take?
That is the question.
That is the question that we are going to talk about today.
To take or not to take?
Case selection. People calling us. How do we decide whether we're going to take a case? What's the process for that? What does it look like in a law firm? Procedurally and then individually.
How do you guys get cases?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother topic. But we'll start with that one and then kind of move along. So, unlike some attorneys, we do not have our name and likeness plastered on every single bus or billboard in the city.
No, we do not.
Why not?
Well, because we thought that was kind of tacky. It is kind of tacky. It feeds into the
It's more than kind of tacky. It's extremely tacky.
Okay.
What if it's done with taste?
It's never done with
elegance.
taste.
There is no
It's
such
never done with taste and elegance. I have never heard a attorney ad on the radio or a billboard or a bus poster that has been anything but blatant advertising.
Yeah. And there's some, Seattle's a little slower than some jurisdictions where if you go, you are just bombarded with advertising. That like every billboard will be
Another person.
In the case of Maui, where I do live sometimes, after the fires,
Oh, yeah.
Morgan & Morgan had the entire thing wallpapered in their ads. The entire airplane terminal when you got off. The size, the entire wall. So it was like the size of a semi-truck. Advertisements were in the airport. Well, we don't do that. And by the way, that costs millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Millions.
So in order to have that kind of business, you basically will take every case, make whatever money you can off of it, whether or not it's a good or not good.
Yeah.
You just are taking most everything.
And they don't spend that much time on a lot of them,
High
right?
volume.
They just blow through them.
They have a lot of quote unquote case managers who are normally not attorneys. They will definitely be using AI more. Even more than they already do. And they save the good ones for the higher up people in the law firm, but we call them mill. It's a mill firm. Okay?
Mill like what? Like
a mill. You're churning it.
You're churning out the cases.
You don't really know the names of your clients, their digits, or widgets, one after the other, after the other.
Would you
after
say
the
that
other.
they, like, say I had a car accident and I went to a firm like that.
Yeah.
Would I get the best result possibly for my case?
Well, it
like if I had a
depends.
car accident.
If you were hit by someone that was uninsured driver or
Yeah.
uninsured, you would probably get as much as you would have gotten without a lawyer.
Yeah.
You probably would have gotten
And
more.
you lose money then because you went to a lawyer.
Okay, wait.
But I don't want to say all bad things about lawyers.
I'm not trying. I'm just trying to
say-
point out the
And even
stuff that can
mill
happen.
lawyers have a purpose.
I
but-
got rear-ended, and there was I was driving my truck over to Ballard Bridge, going to the gym, and a woman rear-ended me, and I got bumped, and my back tightened up. And then so I said, we pulled over, and I was like, do you have insurance? And she's like, yeah. I was like, you should call your insurance and open a claim. And she went ahead and did. And then I was like, you should have the claims adjuster just call me right now. And so literally an hour later, the insurance company called me and is like, are you okay? I was like, my back's a little stiff. I'll probably go get a massage and I'm fine. And then so, about 6 months later, I forgot about it. She called me back and she was like, remember to claim? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, how's your back? I was like, I just went and got a massage. I'm fine. She's like, how much was the massage? It was like $100. She's like, okay, well, I'll give you $500. Oh, okay. She gave me the $500.
Yeah, but you got to sign off.
I had to sign off on it. But
Of
what
course.
I'm saying is that that's 4 times the cost of the massage, or 5 times the cost of the massage. And that was just me having a conversation with a claims adjuster. What would a lawyer have gotten me?
Well, you would have had to go to more than one massage.
What if I didn't want to?
Well, then a lawyer probably wouldn't take the case.
Okay, all right. So tell me about what cases people take and what cases people don't
Okay,
take.
well, first of all, I want to make sure that there's a clear line here. We cannot take small cases like that.
Why not?
Well, let me talk. You're going to interview me?
Yes.
Okay, he's going to try to Oprah me. So the difference between a billboard firm, not all, there's some people that are similar to us that now are using the billboards because I think, they're like, well, why not?
Everybody's kind of getting a little loose with it.
Yeah, let's all get into it. But here's why not. We're too stuck up. We are too stuck. We are an elite law firm. We are too stuck up for it. We don't need that. That's not how people come to us.
I don't like stuck up.
It is stuck up.
That means like you're too. I don't like the word stuck up. We're not stuck up.
Oh yeah, we are. When it
Are
comes
we stuck
to
up, Mike?
when we are to be put on a bus or an Uber or taxi cab, we are too stuck up.
But that suggests like we're like elitists.
I'm sorry, we are.
Yeah, I mean,
You got to be honest.
I would say you hold yourself to a higher standard than some of those other firms. And if you call that stuck up because you are more picky with what cases you take, I don't know that that's stuck up. Stuck up would be like, we only take these cases because we're the best firm. You guys don't talk like that.
Yeah.
No, but we are not going to put ourselves on a bus or a taxi.
No, you choose to do what the old business was of this industry, the same way that it was with doctors.
Well,
my dad would never have had his face on a billboard. Doctors didn't do that back then.
Of course, we do social media and stuff like that.
Yes.
And a lot of people are very critical of us because we do that. That is also
That's right.
That's
no
just as
difference,
bad. That's
right?
the new billboard.
The new billboard. Okay, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to pretend that we're not. This is an elite law firm.
Yes.
Okay.
And if we took in everybody that asked us to take them in, we would not be able to function as an elite law firm. Okay. We would have to hire more paralegals or more robotic people. We would have to have the infrastructure to handle people and not mind that we didn't know their names or who's in their family. We would have to change the whole architecture of what we do.
And so the way I describe it to people who are not lawyers, I don't call us stuck up. I use the restaurant model. I say that we're fine dining. And we just don't do fast food. And we're not a diner. And we're not like, Chipotle or anything like that. We're just fine dining. So we make a decision to use our resources to do very unique things.
Yeah.
And so that limits our ability to do other things, which I like better. Fine dining.
We are stuck up. I mean,
That's
you
fine.
can call it political.
You want to call yourself stuck up, you
whatever
can.
it is, but there's a reason for it. It's self-preservation.
Well, I was going to say, you guys couldn't do as good of a job for your clients if you had, the 5 attorneys working on car crashes and lower level cases. You wouldn't be able to do the work that you do.
But you could, Karen, expand a firm to do what Mike is saying, bring in the 5 people and the robots and whatever and do all that. But there is a intentional decision not to do that.
Okay. It's self-preservation. Here's why. If every time we take a case like that, we lose money. We can't afford to take the cases because our business model is very, very, very high intensity. So it's not push a button and the settlement demand gets pushed out. So now this is a big thing in AI right now. They're running to all these solo practitioners or mill firms and saying, look, if you put everything into the system and you push a button, it'll send out the settlement mediation letter to the adjuster. I look at it all the time. You don't even need paralegals anymore. Like, that's the whole new thing. Well, we do in our firm because we are so human being intensive. Yeah. We're on the phone. We're meeting with them all the time. Like, there's just so much touching of the client involved in every little piece. So I have a case that we had resolved a couple years ago, and he was a pedestrian. He was hit. We handled that issue, and he was rear-ended. Okay, he came to us. Could we say no to him?
No.
So we took it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we took it, and then we submitted this letter to his insurance company, and they sent a number back that was so small. I was like, I don't even know that know what to do with a settlement offer that's that small. Like, I've not seen that in years.
Yeah.
And I was kind of flabbergasted, and then also challenged, like, wow, this is so small.
Can you make it?
We
a better
can't even
offer?
charge them a free fee for this. Like, how can we charge a client a fee for something that small? Like, we wouldn't morally be able to do that. Like, we are very conscious of
The
making sure that
percentage
the
you would have
client-
to take would make the number that they got absurd.
So, I mean, if you look at my time, maybe most time, but primarily my time, and you think, okay, probably on average, my time, if you were to actually value it correctly as a plaintiff lawyer, probably somewhere between $3,000 to $5,000 an hour. We don't charge that. We can't charge that, right? Because no one would be able to afford going after the bad guy. The little guy couldn't do that. But if you looked at it, that's what it'd be. So basically, if I'm $3,000, $5,000 an hour, and the offer is like
less than your
less
hourly
than
fee.
then you start to see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So you don't just become a firm like this. This firm has been around for 80 years.
Yeah.
And has a huge reputation. And so you have then you have to maintain the reputation.
Yes.
And advance the reputation. It doesn't just sit there on its own. So that's how we get the clients, is our reputation, people hearing about us. I heard about you. A lot of lawyers know about us. They tell other lawyers from other states or here. But the masses typically don't know about us. And that's the sad thing. It's like, there's really no way for someone that's been horribly injured to know how to get to a firm like ours. They'll often go to, well, I heard that so-and-so, down the street was a good lawyer. And then that lawyer will get the case and then contact someone that actually knows how to do that kind of law, because they don't know how to do it. And so we got a lot of cases from some lawyers that do know how to practice the area or just not here, others that don't know how to practice in the area and need help. But it's a whole different areas that we reach, and we get as much people as we can to help. And that is the important thing for the elite, the 5 or so law firms in the state that are truly, elite practitioners, is you can only do a public service if the public knows that they can come to you. And they don't, and it's hard for them to know when there's this cacophony of sound and noise from the non-elite lawyers. Come to us, we're in your neighborhood, come, we'll help you. And it's a mill.
Well, and don't forget, there's the internet where most people would go these days and just put, I need a lawyer for my car crash or something similar to that into a search engine.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out with, lawyers.com.
We have cases.
Avo and
We have cases right now against Amazon where the lawyers from totally different states in the Midwest or wherever have just advertised really well, and people clicked on them, and then they came to us to help because we're here, they're over there. But that's a whole, this whole thing is really, anyway, so getting through this. So somehow people find us, right, through one of these ways, since we don't advertise on the buses. And they come and they get into our system. Now, most firms, all firms, are going to have an intake system. And the intake system used to be that we used to pick up the phone and talk to people.
Yeah, I did that plenty of time. I used to take a lot of the intakes myself.
All of us would pitch in and help. From the lawyers to everybody would pitch in and help. And our firm has gotten a little bit more, we've gotten more intakes. So now we have kind of a system of who takes in the intakes and then who other helps and all of that. And unfortunately, most people that have a case that call or write us do not have a case that we can take. And so we're going to start off by talking about those cases, not specifics. Some of it is extremely sad. I've always done a lot of wrongful death cases, got a lot of wrongful death cases. I used to have a thing of I would always talk to someone who lost somebody in person, have them come in, spend an hour with them. Physically cannot do that anymore. Like, there's just too many people who've died due to the negligence of others, and sometimes not negligence. We can't really prove it. So let me give you examples of some of the decisions we have to make and how hard they are. So someone is called, they've had a loved one, let's say their elderly parent just died in the hospital. They're sure something went wrong. They had some pre-existing conditions, but they know that something went wrong, and they have maybe, so-and-so wasn't nice and so-and-so did something, and I'm not sure about these medical records. I think that we have a case. Okay. We get this call often. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, first we're going to say we need the medical chart. And we normally have the client get that because they can get it almost instantly for free, versus if we get it, it's going to cost hundreds, if not $1,000 or more dollars.
And take a while.
And take a while. So we can get those charts nice and easy. So get the medical. Then we normally we used to have to send it out and we used to have a physician's assistants on staff. We've had medical legal nurses that we send stuff out to. It take months before we get answers back. Well, now with AI, we use an AI software called InPractice, and we can get that done very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to the second like we do it if we're going to take a case, but it gives us enough of an overview that we can see and go to where we need to see and look to see if there's a case. We're going to do that before we even meet with the people, because we want to be respectful and not lead people on, and also to have answers or something. When we're satisfied, and there's more of a team here that does more medical than other negligence others, when we're satisfied that we have a read on the case, then we start meeting with the client. But that is going to be 1 out of like 30 people. We're probably not going to meet with most, and they're not even clients yet. We're just going to meet with them. The other people, we're going to have to decline the case. And we're going to have to do it really nicely and gently, and that's hard. But if you lead people on and they think that they have a case and become more invested, it's even harder. So rule number 1 for most attorneys is when you have a case and you know that it's not a case, decline the case as soon as possible. Don't sit there hoping it's just going to miraculously turn into a case. Second issue is how are you going to prove it? Okay. Normally, and I may be in the minority, if there's not an autopsy, I don't know that I want the case.
Why is that?
Because how am I going to prove causation?
Okay.
Sometimes people will take them without an autopsy, but I learned that from Paul Whelan a long time ago. There's no autopsy for me. It's almost never going to be a case. Now there were some exceptions. We had some exceptions in the Seattle Children's cases where there was aspergillus. But even that, most of those had autopsies and confirmed what the cause of death was. So I'm very hesitant to do that. At what point do we pick an expert? We used to hire an expert before, way early on. Now we have different expert services that we work with. We can get look-sees by different, if we need an infectious disease expert or neuroradiology expert, we can get them to give us look-sees earlier and then decide if we're going to take a case before we actually have to hire an official expert and go from there. But there's a lot of money involved in the cases that a firm like ours does. So in most cases, there's no money that you have to pay. Like he was rear-ended, clear liability, he had 1 massage, nothing else. Even if I took that case and I was a male firm, I'm just sending it through my AI program and asking a demand letter and trying to get some
You're
money.
getting the same result that he would have got if he just talked to the adjuster himself.
But for us, medical negligence case, $300,000 to $500,000. We're investing in these cases. Costs, product liability, some of them really big. Our highway design cases, they can be up to $1 million in fees. So we have to be really careful of the cases that we take because we have to invest in them and we have to know that we're going to win them or believe that we're going to win them.
How much was it for Ride the Ducks?
Ride the Ducks was several million. Yeah, that was several $1 million. And so the firm is basically investing this into these cases. So when people talk about frivolous lawsuits, right, that's when we're like, really? Because we're not going to invest in we may lose a case, but we're not going to knowingly ever invest in a frivolous lawsuit. So those are some of the things, the big things. But there's other things like the plaintiff. Why don't you talk a little bit about when we are suspicious of a plaintiff?
Well, you got to see if the person that wants you to take their case is credible. Like, what are they telling you? So one of the things I do is that before I meet with people, generally, is I ask them to show up to a meeting. I always meet with whoever I'm going to say no to on a Zoom call, and I give them the dignity and time. I set aside 30 minutes to 45 minutes to do that, to produce documents. I want you to see what, because if someone is experiencing a loss, sometimes it's like a catastrophic sudden loss that is happening in real time. And then sometimes you can tell time has lapsed, and then they're looking for a lawyer. And I want to see what they have done prior to wanting to talk to a lawyer. Because sometimes people, unless they have no understanding of how to get things, have done some things. So that's also a way to test whether or not this person has got a credible claim. So I have no documents or anything. I ask questions like, tell me what happened. And you start with the tell me what happened question. They start to talk, and then you just have to listen. And then when you're listening to them, you have to see if this is a consistent and coherent narrative. And sometimes you'll pick up on stuff where they're not telling you facts that are important. And I don't like to confront a person with that. If I feel like they're like hedging, like their own responsibility, like I'll tell you, like a civil rights case, for example, somebody calls and says that there was excessive force used, and they tend to not tell you the fact that, oh, by the way, I had a weapon, or the person,
or I resisted,
or I resisted.
Yeah.
So like one of the what I call probing question is that was a criminal action instituted? Yeah. Can you just tell me in general nature of the charges? And because I know that those things are available, and two, the person would receive copies of them in their initial appearance and have copies. Their public defender would be appointed, and they would provide them with information. They would have police reports. And then so if they have not provided me those informations in advance, and they're telling me that they have had their civil rights violated, at that point I start to go, there are some issues here, and then I ask for the documents. So that's one way of like screening, is their willingness to engage their own case and motivation to engage their own case. But there are instances where people are suffering catastrophic loss in real time. There's been an instance where someone is calling me where there is a medical emergency in a medical procedure actively happening. They don't need a lawyer at that time. They need to just focus on their loved one and just pay attention and take notes. So like there are times, like it's context specific, you say, take notes, just, call me if you have any questions. This is not time. This is an active situation. And when you're out and an outcome's been determined, then give me a call. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would not even take that call. But
this is a friend.
Okay, friends, you got to take the call.
Yeah, you got to take the friend's call.
So the reality is that over half the time, the person involved is not the person you're talking to.
Yeah, if it's wrongful death or something like that,
died.
they're dead.
And if they've been catastrophically
if they're in a horrible accident, they're probably in the hospital.
They're normally not contacting us. Yeah. We're normally talking to the surviving spouse, the surviving children, or the parents or whoever, a guardian. So we're talking to a bunch of other people who often don't even know. I mean, we have one case here where we are having to figure out who the decedent was, really, kind of on our own. We're having really hard time doing that. And the things that we have to do to figure it all out, it's kind of remarkable. I'm not going to go into this because it would be attorney-client. But so we don't have like a hard, fast rule of, well, we didn't like that person, so we're not taking the case. I believe even if a person's unlikable, if they have a case, you should represent them. But the case has to be worthy. And I have artificial cutoffs. So it was, when I joined the firm, my artificial cutoff was like $50,000. Of course, that was in 2004. Then it was like 100,000. Then it was like 300,000. Then it was 500,000. Now it's probably more than $1 million, because And here's why, because we're so busy. Then of course I have one that, I could have, that was basically worth one of my hourly rates. I have that one too, but that's an exception. I haven't had one of those in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll always make exceptions. It is a business, but it's a human business.
Yeah.
And this firm prides itself in being a human business. So there is no, this is this amount, or it's not like that. It's not a tiered system. It's left up, a lot of the discretion's left up to the lawyer who's going to handle the case. You got to get approval through our partners, because we are the ones, right, that are investing in these cases. But there's also a huge variety of cases that this firm takes. We take such a huge variety. And that's because people that work here enjoy that variety. They like that variety. It keeps them happy and good functioning and enjoying their job.
Well, and some of you guys sort of at times specialize in certain areas.
Yeah.
And then you'll start to take other cases.
Yeah.
You just sort of move back and forth
We
with
do.
what you want to do.
Yeah, we wind around. So, but it is like for the average person, and it's, Mo told us a story at the very beginning of this podcast when he started about being 16 years old and his mom dying, or not died yet, but very sick, and going to the attorney's office to see if she had a case, and being completely just snubbed out and rejected.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for people to have to get a lawyer. Let me tell you some of the things that don't help your cause if you're looking for a lawyer. I'll tell you the number one worst thing.
Wearing basketball shorts.
No.
That's what I wore. I don't think that helped.
Poor you. Well, being 16 years old and not being,
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Okay.
I mean, that picture is so sad. Okay, the number one thing that's the worst thing, in my opinion, is sending an email that you sent to 1,000 other lawyers that is 15 pages long. Absolutely do not do that. Like, we just delete it. We'll nicely tell you no. We'll just send you to Janine, who handles our form intake denials. And we know it's not personal, and it's incoherent, and and a lot of times people, because they've thought about it so much, they've done a lot of research, and they try to put it together like a lawyer would put it together, and we're not impressed. That's what you want a lawyer for, is to tell you how to put it together. All that the lawyer wants are the actual facts. What happened? We don't want you to do analysis. We don't want you to prove the case. We want what happened, and do you have evidence? Those are the only things that we really want. Plus, like, are you okay, or how are you, right? That's what we want to know. So those form emails that probably take a long time, the conspiracy ones.
Well, yeah, I was going to.
I mean, we had a lot of conspiracy ones too, and those do have their uses, but not for what you're intending. But those mass emails do not do that. I mean, that would be like tip number one. Tip number two is, when you talk to the lawyer, wait for the lawyer to ask you questions. Tip number three is, do not have everything put together. Do not do in person what you did in email. Do not just go on a rambling 30-minute theory about everything that happened and how it's all connected and this is what and so and you think this and that. Really dial down. Get to what is the actual issue. Keep away all the side stuff, because the lawyer will look at that and just go, oh no, that's a client you don't want to have. That person's never going to be happy. That person's going to want to direct the litigation. Lawyers do not want clients who are never going to be happy, for good reason.
Because they're too difficult to work with.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, just for things that you really shouldn't do, don't be on drugs when you're interviewing the lawyer. Be sober.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but Yeah.
No, I've seen clients fall asleep while they were here.
Like maybe, and it could be anxiety that they took some medicine so they get through the interview, but don't do it. Resist the urge.
Yeah, you don't want to come high to the attorney meeting.
Yeah. And then
Mo's got a funny look on his face.
Yeah.
Do you not agree?
It's sad.
I mean,
You want people to come and be high?
no, I don't want people to come and be high. No,
Okay, well,
no. But when I think about people in crisis, and I think about they don't have necessarily the skill set to be, in the form in which to make their best case on the first contact.
Right.
And so I sort of like, and this is to a fault because I mean, Kristen and Jamie tell me this all the time. No, because a lot of people write me directly, want me to talk to them, and they go, "No, that's a waste of your time."
you're gonna learn this the longer you're
The longer,
law.
but like I think that my heart makes me pause when I see someone's anguish spilled out, even in incoherent
It is
ways.
sad, but the thing is, when you get 3 to 5 of those or more a day.
I know.
So if you add, if I used to give an hour for wrongful death. If 3 to 5 a day, even if it was half an hour a day,
Yeah.
like you can't do that,
Yeah.
and because you're
No, I
taking away
agree.
time from your other clients.
That I agree. That decision is important. Your responsibility
resource
is to
management.
It is. It's your responsibility is to your caseload. For younger lawyers, like these are business models, really. Like what kind of if you're a young lawyer, you want to do plaintiff's practice, you have to decide what kind of practice you want to do. And you're not going to be able to jump right in and do the type of law we're doing, which is the type of cases we're doing. So you are likely, if you want to go open up your own shop, hang your shingle, you got to start with these smaller cases, right? And then your business model can build, or you can do fine just doing 5 or 10 small cases a month, or 5 small cases a month. If you keep your overhead low, you can make an honest living doing that work. And you don't have to be a mill. So like part of what I wanted to think was like, what are we saying to younger lawyers? Because our practice, and you are right, the elite practice that you describe is really inaccessible to the lawyer right out of law school. And so for those lawyers, I really want them not to feel discouraged, that there's a pathway to this type of practice that they themselves can design and work on and invest in and get there. So I think it's there because there's a ton of car collisions, and each car collision is an opportunity to learn about the insurance industry, to learn about the dynamics of a car crash, and to do the work. I just think that it's good. I know you're getting bored.
You're just
because
like Mr. Political today. Like,
no, I'm not being political. I'm talking about
you're
because
trying to like make
I just
everyone
don't want.
feel happy, and that's here it is. You cannot make everyone feel happy through this process. It is sad to tell people like we can't take your case. Like that is brutal.
It's not just that. I'll tell you. You talked about the conspiracy ones. The calls that we get that are people that might have mental problems who think they have a case against the government for them spying on their email and stuff like that. We get a lot of those calls. And, I treat those people exactly the same as I would treat someone who called in who said that they had researched the entire case and they definitely had a case against Amazon because of whatever happened to them.
Yeah.
And they have all of the facts. They have a huge box full of documents ready to bring in. They want to send it in right now.
Yeah.
I treated all of those people the same way.
Yeah.
I would usually try. What I try to do was get as the first line would be like, you don't need to give me the whole story.
Yeah.
I need to get this much so that I can forward that on to the attorneys, and then they can make the decision from there. And when they make that decision, that's when we'll take all of those documents that you have and stuff like that. That doesn't mean we were going to take their case, like you said.
No.
But we treat them like we're going to take their case at first, and we do all the work that we need to do.
Nice.
Or we tell them right away,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not the type of case that we're taking, or we can't take that case for you.
Okay, so let's kind of close this out and tell us how you say no. Like, what's the proper process of saying no?
No.
Okay, but like, do you refer them out if you think because it doesn't fit our criteria, but it's a case, like it's too small? Like, what do you do?
Okay, so for cases that there is no case, we do not refer them out, because what would other lawyers think of us for giving them cases that we don't think that there's a case? They would not be happy with us. Then they would have to field that person's call.
Yeah.
So we don't refer cases out that we don't think that there's a case. For small cases, different people have different young lawyers, new lawyers that we're feeding, and we just send them out. We are not a referral law firm. So a referral law firm, of which there are many, huge ones, they have the mill. You call them, they refer you out, and they want a percentage of the fee.
How much usually?
25 to 30.
For just referring
25 to 30% of what you get, or what comes from the client?
What the attorney gets. And you have to either, in the state of Washington, you either have to do substantial work or make a substantial investment or something in the case. So I don't know what the bottom line is. When we refer cases out, we do not. We do not do that. Man, missed economic opportunity, but we're trying to help the people that are coming to us, and we're trying to help the newer lawyers that can easily handle these kind of more simple cases. We don't do simple cases, we do complex cases. So we want to try to feed that system of getting you to a lawyer that's going to, spend some time with you and help you out. So that's what we do. But saying no, let me make this very clear. Whether we refer you to someone else or just say no, that's devastating for people.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to do it. I always thank Janine for doing it, because she has to do it most often. It is hard. A lot of times we have to write a letter because we have to tell them, look, your statute of limitations is going to expire on such and such a day, so you need to get another lawyer. But it's like firing someone. Like, you don't want to do it, but you have to do it, and we have to do it frequently.
Yeah.
So and what's even worse, okay, it's one thing to fire someone or to say no to someone that you just met on the phone, but it's really hard when you thought there was a case, there could be a case, and then you started doing some investigation, and maybe you hired that doctor or an expert to look at it, and you didn't invest $100,000, but you invested $5,000, $15,000, $20,000, because sometimes it takes that much to look into a case, and those people are thinking, I have a case, and 6 months to a year later, we have to say, we are so sorry, we cannot represent you. We don't believe that there's a case. That is super devastating for people, and I think it's one of the hardest things that we do is to tell people, no, you don't have a case.
Okay.
All right.
Sadly.
Okay.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.